So, hi there. I'm so
Hi.
excited to be talking to you. And so, you just landed your dream job, and it just feels like it happened. Well, it did happen super fast. So, before
Yes.
we get into all the details, tell us a little bit about how or where you were before we started working together, and what even decided or helped you decide to take this next step and get the support.
Sure. So really quickly, I went on vacation in February, and when I came back, I unexpectedly heard that I was laid off from my job. And it was a shock, obviously, but it was a push that I think I needed because I wanted to move out of publishing into something else. I had been like looking lukewarm, like just checking Indeed, not really applying for anything or networking or updating my LinkedIn or anything like that. And then obviously once I got laid off, it was like, all right, well, it's time, it's go time. It's time to start looking. And so I like barely like upgraded my resume. I kind of just added like a little more of what I was doing, but I didn't really change any of the wording or anything like that. For LinkedIn, I just clicked that little indicator that said I'm looking actively now and was getting no responses from anyone.
Yeah.
I was applying through the portals and I got no emails back.
Mhm.
Um, but then I started to get emails and responses from people in the publishing world
Mhm.
asking me if I was looking because they heard that a couple of us were laid off on the editorial team at my old job.
Mhm.
And so I felt like I couldn't let that opportunity pass, even though I knew I didn't want to stay in publishing. I was kind of scared because I wasn't getting any responses from other people. And
Mhm.
so I went on some interviews with the publishing, some magazines, and I wasn't happy at all going through
Yeah.
that process. And so I tried it, I think, again for another month by myself. And then I realized, like, this isn't working. And I saw one of your articles on Forbes. And through that article, I followed you on Instagram. And I was looking at your stories and I kept looking and I was like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. And I'm like, alrighty, like this could work. And then finally I had to pull the trigger because I was just like, I can't actually do this by myself anymore.
Yes, yes.
Nothing's
Okay. And to
happening.
be clear, you have like a great background in fashion and beauty in the editorial side. So you have like
Yeah.
a lot of well-known like publications under your belt, and you're in this place where you're like, okay, that's been great, but I'm looking to make a pivot into the buying and merchandising industry of the fashion and beauty industry. And so
Yeah.
you were I remember you were kind of like, I remember when I read your application, I was like, she is so qualified for this. But then I read more, and you're like, but no one is seeing that I'm qualified for this. And so for you, what was that moment when you decided, like, okay, I've been looking at her stuff, and now it's time for me to just find out what it's about and actually apply to speak to her?
It was a lot of the on your highlights you have like results, and
Mm,
it was a lot of the emails because I think a lot of the other programs that I saw that helped you find jobs, it was more like, oh, you helped me find this position, blah, blah, blah. But like your results emails were like, oh, you helped me find the confidence to like get this job or do
mm,
this interview, or like I learned so much from this program. And I was like, oh,
mm,
it sounds like it's more than just, oh, she helps people find jobs. I
mm,
wasn't looking for another job. I wasn't very happy in my last job. I felt like it wasn't a place that I wanted to grow in.
mm,
And
mm,
the results from your program on your page, like the emails that I saw, are from people who are like finding positions that they really loved and that they were really passionate about. And I knew
mm.
I didn't want to waste my time at another position that I was just like lukewarm about. And so I was like,
Yeah.
this is it.
Yes. I love that. I love that. Okay, so let's just get to the results. So we started, I had our first call, I think it was like the end of April, and you
Yeah.
started like the beginning of May, and it's now June. And so tell, yeah, towards the end of June now. And so tell us what happened from the moment that you decided to, join, and what was the result? First of all, let's just get into the results, and then we'll talk about your experience. So what was the
Yeah,
result?
absolutely.
What has happened? Yeah.
So within 2 months, not only did I have recruiters actually contacting me on LinkedIn for actual buying and merchandising positions, not publishing anymore. Um, I was getting people reaching out to me asking if I was looking for jobs. So like other recruiters were emailing me directly and were like, "Hey, are you looking for positions from here and here?" And just learning to bypass the portals and actually email a person, even if they told me, "Oh, the position's been filled." A lot of the time, which was what happened with at Macy's, which is where I'll be at. They filled the position that I interviewed for in the beginning before your program, and then after your program, another recruiter emailed me and was like, "Hey, this recruiter from before when you emailed us forwarded your resume and it looks really amazing and we would love to interview you for this new position." And that's not something I had beforehand because like I feel like if a recruiter saw my email, they'd be like, "Oh, okay, we'll pass it on," and then you don't really hear from them anymore.
Yeah.
And I think it was like the way I was positioning myself and the way that I came across, the language I was using in my emails and my resume, my LinkedIn, made people really stand up and see that I was serious about being in the buying and merchandising industry and not just like an enthusiast. I was
Yeah.
experienced in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it happened pretty quickly. I interviewed with the recruiter on a Friday, and then she scheduled a in-person interview with the two hiring managers for the department the following week on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at the interview, it was going really well, and I was super excited. And I asked them about next steps, and she said, "Well, listen, just to be transparent, there's like 6 of us going on vacation, so you might not hear from us until the second week of July." And so I was a little discouraged, but I was like, "Okay, it's whatever. It's fine."
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, the recruiter called me and told me that they loved me and that they really wanted me to get in and have the position. I was super excited.
Yes. Okay. So I'm so excited because I feel like you didn't even do the story justice. Like you literally went from
I
you
know.
literally
I'm still processing it because it happened so quickly. I was just like, "Oh my god, I
no,
didn't
I mean
expect those results."
it happened really fast, and you literally went from reaching out to people because as you talked about when you were laid off, you were like in like high gear mode, like that sense of urgency of I need to
Yeah,
find a job ASAP. So you were applying for all these roles, and you were getting feedback that they didn't feel like you were qualified enough because you were coming from this publishing background. To the
yeah,
point that you started looking for roles in publishing because you felt like that's all you could have. And then fast forward to joining the program, getting clear on what you really bring to the table and how you are qualified for those roles and knowing how to position yourself for that. You had companies like Free People, which is something that you were actually interested
yeah.
in before, reach out to you based on how you presented yourself. And you
I
had
know.
those just like other companies that were also like qualified roles, companies that were like well known, reaching out to you. And then on top of that, you're now the company you're going to be working at now, Macy's. You interviewed with them before, and they passed you over. And then because of how you positioned yourself, they reached out to you and said, "We want to interview you for the actual role that you were getting told that you were not qualified for before."
Exactly.
Like that is
It's
like
insane.
amazing.
It's amazing. That's why I think I responded so well to the results that you had on your Instagram page is because you can tell that it's not just finding a job, it's
Mhm.
finding a way to speak about yourself and think about yourself in the role that you imagine, not just like when you say scarcity, it's just it all of it encompassed together. It was like when I went into that interview, I wasn't even nervous. I was like, I know my worth, I know my experience, I know what I can bring to the table, and like
Yeah.
here is why you need me. And like I didn't have that before in other interviews. Like I went into an interview for a publishing job with someone I knew, like a friend, and I was like fumbling all over my words, and
Yeah.
I was just like, and I'm like, I'm qualified for this. Like this is what I do. And I'm like, why can't I get this together?
How was your job search different this time around? And even like, do you feel like you applied to even less positions, the same amount of positions, and got more results? How will you describe it?
I feel like that's the funny part about this program is that I actually applied to less positions because being unemployed, I felt like, listen, I need to set a minimum amount of places I need to apply to feel like I am having a productive day here, or I'm gonna go
Yeah.
insane. And so I feel like I was averaging maybe like 5 places a day before the program,
Hmm.
and they were just positions that I was like, all right, this I can kind of see myself here. It's fine. Like it is what it
Hmm.
is. It's a foot in the door is what I kept telling myself.
Hmm.
But I don't think I was like super excited about any of the positions. A lot of the time I didn't really delve too deeply into researching like the companies. I was just like going off of names that
Hmm.
I knew were big in the retail world or in the buying and
Hmm.
merchandising world, and was getting no responses because I was going through that portal where like no one checks anything. It was driving me crazy. Um, and everyone that I reached out to in my network are from publishing and like PR, and so they really had nothing to help me with. Or
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I wasn't really wording it right where they realized that I wanted to move on from publishing. So a lot of
Yeah.
positions that were being sent back to me were in the publishing world, and
Mhm.
I was like, all right, well maybe that's what I need to go into, and that's why I started applying to publishing jobs again.
Yeah.
And then fast forward into your program, and I think I applied to maybe like 2 a week, possibly. And and like I was networking with people outside of publishing and like just reaching out to people I didn't know through like LinkedIn and
Mhm.
getting responses like right away, if not the first follow up or the second follow
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So it was a big difference, and it's funny because I feel like people would come over to my house while I was on your program and they'd be like, "What are you doing?" Because like you're not on the computer anymore, and you were on the computer for like 5 hours at a time before, and I was just like, no, it's it was just stressing me out. I wasn't actually getting responses versus like I built in that 2 hour window that you told us to do to search for jobs. And like I was getting out my emails at 7 a.m. to make sure I got people at the right time so that they would respond. I was like so efficient, and I was like, oh, this is where I need to be. This is getting results. This is it.
Yes. It's like you went from applying to less positions and getting more responses and also
Exactly.
having more free time, which is kind of weird because you're like, I feel like I should be doing more, but it's like the things I'm doing is getting the results. So I'm like, okay. It's
Absolutely.
such
And it's
a
also
major difference.
I stopped rationalizing with myself like, "Oh, I probably could do this position or it probably
Mhm.
won't be that bad." And started really diving deep. So some weeks I wasn't applying to anything because I just didn't find
Mhm.
anything, and it was kind of
Mhm.
nerve-wracking, but
Yeah.
just to continue to think that like you need to be at a company that you're passionate about. You need to be at a company that hits like all of your requirements.
Yeah.
And and so that I think was definitely a different mindset for me,
Yes.
going into it, so that I wasn't applying to that many places because not that many places met my requirements, to be honest.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm laughing because I remember when you first started, it's like, I need the fast track plan. Like, just give me the fast track
Oh my
plan.
god,
I'm just like,
yes.
no. Like, I think
Yes.
you're actually in the fast track plan right now. I think you just need to follow
I was
it.
like,
And you're just
unlock
like,
all 12 weeks today. I wanna do them now.
and you're just like, no, I just think I have the time. Just give it to me. And I was just like, no, I don't think that's the right method there. But it's like 7 weeks later, because I looked at the time, it was like 7 weeks. You got your dream job. Like you got the job that you wanted at the company
Yeah.
that previously rejected you. And you were looking for this like really fast program, but it was like this was it. Like all you really had to do was follow the steps. And you talk a lot about like, wanting to have that confidence and then being bigger than just finding a job. And what were some of those biggest takeaways from you since joining the program and having this experience?
Um, just small things like the daily affirmations that you have. I
Mhm.
never used to believe in affirmations, to be quite honest with you, but
Me
it's
either.
something to do like when you're saying those words and like you're speaking it to yourself, and
Mm.
it's me and my dog here. And I'm just like saying those words out loud, and then you go into the job search and you just feel a little bit more confident to like go in and be
Mhm.
like, all right, this position looks good. Let me go research this. Let me do this. Let me take my time. Let me really make sure that this is what I want. What this is going to be serving me more in the future.
Mhm.
The biggest one of the biggest things for me going into the job was having some longevity, because I was at my job for 2 years, and then before that I was freelancing for a year. So it was a lot of jumping around, and
Yeah.
that's what I didn't want.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how to go about that before the program.
Yeah.
And from the daily affirmations to having the weekly sessions where I could really like hear other people's um, questions, their problems, their struggles, their successes, really helped, because pretty much everyone is around the same spot, but some people are like moving faster than others. And like looking back last week when we were in a session, and there's someone who just started and she's just like, I really want to go get going. Like, can I apply to these positions? And I remember feeling that way. I was like, oh my God, if I have to do one more resume revision, I'm going to go crazy. Like, let me apply. And like looking back now, you can see like there is a method to this, and like you need to follow the steps, and you need to breathe, and like you need to know that like it's not one job for like 600 people. Like there are tons of positions out there, and you're going to find the perfect one for you. That's the biggest thing that I came away with this. I used to feel like, oh my God, when you look on LinkedIn and you see like, oh, 200 applicants, and you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, like I'm not getting it. No one's going to see my application. But now you go into it after a couple weeks in the program, and you're just like, this job is going to be for me if it's for me. And like, I'm going to reach out to this person, and they're going to see my worth. They're going to see like what I can bring to their company, and they're going to want me in there, regardless if there's 200 people that have applied already.
Look at that confidence.
I know. Oh my God.
I love it. You literally went from, I remember when we were working on your resume and you were just like, I don't even know what to put here. And I was just like,
oh my God, yes.
Follow the method. And then you went from like having this like published in written resume to a resume that really spoke to your values. And even like your LinkedIn profile, I remember like we're like, this is like really bland, Farah. Like we need to spice it up. And you're just like, I could tell you, it's like I feel like I did the best I could with what I have. But it's like just taking it up a notch and seeing how people reacted to that, and seeing how people reacted to you putting yourself out there. I can see how getting that feedback from people has just really umped your confidence to really feel like I am really good at what I do, and I really don't care if I'm coming from this publishing background. It's good enough to be successful in this next industry. And I feel like for you to have an interview and they feel like, oh, we're gonna get back to you in 2 weeks, and they get back to you the next day because they're like, let's just do it. Like that is just really insane. And so not even just that, you also negotiated a 20K salary increase. So you went from, I'm going to keep saying it because it's just really amazing. Like you went from not people telling you weren't qualified enough for the role that you wanted to getting the role that you wanted in 7 weeks, and convincing them to give you a 20K salary increase when they actually rejected you in the previous position you applied for.
Yes.
So how did that all happen, and how crazy is that?
So the first time I applied for this position and I didn't get it, and this was before your program, they actually the recruiter asked me what my salary was. And of course, like a dodo head, I gave it to her, and I was just like, this is what I want to be paid. And I'm pretty sure that took me out of the running because it was way more than what they were willing to give at that point. And also my resume, I feel like it was still publishing based, and she was just like, I don't think this is gonna work out. And I feel like it's one thing, because you always read online, it's like you shouldn't give the range or anything like that. And it's another thing to actually be on that call and like you feel like you have to do something or give that answer. And so a lot of the responses that you provided through the program really helped. So I literally said it verbatim. I was just like, based on this, I want this, but that's not my main concern. So the second time around, she was just like, okay, that's great. And she called me back and she's just like, this is the salary. And I was like, all right, great. Can you put everything into writing, please? And she's just like, yeah, I'll send you the email. And then I emailed her back and I was just like, based on my experience and based on the salary I know that you guys give this range, I feel like I deserve this. And I actually asked for 30K more, but we met in the middle. We met in the middle for a 20K increase, which is incredible because I don't think I've ever negotiated a promotion or an increase in salary or anything like that. I kind of feel like I never had the words to go, saying this as a writer, it's crazy, but I've never had the words to go in and like actually voice like, this is how much I'm worth. This is how much I know I deserve to be paid. And this is why. I feel like a lot of the time it's like, oh, I deserve to be paid this much, but you don't really know how to articulate why. You have to actually give that person that why. And like,
Mhm.
now I know how to articulate that. And she was just like, okay. I was like, oh, I was like, oh, okay. All righty.
And now you're up 20K when you were
I
before just
know.
kind of trying to get a job that's only just take you in.
Yes. I was just like, someone please hire me. And now I'm just like, you're going to need to reach this level to hire me. Like, I'm going to need a little bit more. So it's a lot.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so what would you tell someone who's like on the fence about getting this type of support? Well, before we even get into that, because I remember when we first started, when we had our first conversation, and for you, you had just got laid off. So, like, investing at this level for this type of support, to some people will feel like, why would you do that when you already have these financial constraints? So, for you, tell me about what that was like for you, like that moment when you were like, okay, yes, I'm laid off. Yes, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if I'm going to get the job, but I'm going to do it anyway. What was that like for you?
I think I got to a point where it's just like I really can't do this by myself. And I had the consultation call with you and we spoke about how much it would be to invest in my future, which is what you called it, and which I think that's what really resonated with me. It's not, you can't just look at it as like I'm paying for these templates or I'm paying for these weekly calls. It's like you're paying this small amount now to really invest in yourself, to think that like I paid that small amount and now I'm making 20K more. It's like I made it back 10
Yeah,
times more,
10
you know?
times.
So I think changing my mindset to, I was definitely terrified of spending any money, honestly,
Mhm,
not having any like interviews or anything set up, and like
mhm,
no income was coming in.
mhm,
Um, but to think that like you really need to invest in yourself, and that can mean a bunch of different things, but in this instance it's like financially you need to invest in yourself and invest in this program so that you can see the results that you want to see, so that
yeah,
you like I can have the chance to say I'm making 20K more than I used to.
yeah.
And luckily my sister believes in me too and
Yes, our hero.
invested in that. Yes, my ultimate hero. I love her to death. um, I honestly just came to her and I literally had all the reasons written down of like why I want to do this program and why she should help me pay
Mhm,
for it. And
mhm,
she just looked at me and she's just like, let me see her program. I showed her your Instagram page, your Forbes articles, and she's like, she looks legit. Are you sure you want to do this? I was like, yes. She's like, I believe in you. I know you're gonna do this. So like, let's go forward. No hesitation. I needed some time, but I
yeah.
was like, she was like, I know you're gonna do this, and this program looks like it's going to help. So like, let's get this done now.
I love it. And I remember having that conversation with you, and I was just like, well, she was going to be so glad that she was a part of this because you're going to get the job. And you're just like,
Exactly.
yeah, you're right. Like, this is going to, I think it was more so like, yeah, it's going to happen, but like, she's really confident, but yeah, it's going to happen.
I think
And
it's
look
that.
at us now.
Yes. I think it's the fear of like it's spending that much on yourself. I feel like for most people it's just not really an option. But
Mhm.
when you think about like what you're getting back, like you need to invest that time. And it's like, I mean, you can wait for a month. Which is what I feel like I said. I was like, I can wait for a month or two and try to do this on my own. But the amount of frustration and the time I'm taking out, it's not worth it for the amount for what I got from this program.
Yeah.
So to me, I would do it 10 times again.
I like that. Okay, so with that in mind, what would you tell someone who, maybe is in that same situation, like just got laid off or are just feeling like, should I invest in this? Is this worth it for me? What would you tell them if you could go back, or even tell yourself if you could go back in that moment?
I would say that this isn't just about finding a job, it's about visualizing your higher self and like just showing up for that person that you want to be. And the program just doesn't just give you the tools to get you a better job or get you more money or anything like that. It really gives you the tools to equip yourself so that even after this program, if I want to go to a next position, I'm confident enough to know that like I can get what I deserve.
Mhm.
I can do more. I can grow more. And
Mhm.
it's the confidence that that you get from this program that I feel like is unmatched in other places. Like, you're not going to get it from a recruiter or anything like that. So it's really about, if you have to think that this is an investment in yourself, not just for your job, but like other things will fall into place. And that, like, if you really believe that you can take yourself to that next level, that you should invest in yourself, invest in the program, and just put in that hard work.
Well said. Well said. Okay. Well, is there anything else you want to share or talk about or say about the program or your experience? Anything else?
It's gonna challenge you. It challenged me like no other. I thought that, I mean, I'm a writer, so I write all the time, but like, to write about yourself and write about your value is tough. You're gonna feel sometimes in the beginning that like it's not going fast enough. I promise you, it is going fast enough. It's probably going too fast. Like, you need to take it step by step. The video calls are priceless. Honestly, just like hearing from other people's experience. It's one thing to like read an article on the web, online, and like about someone's job search, but to hear them talk through problems, talk through their issues, or to hear their successes, it really bolsters your confidence. And you're like, all right, well, this person was struggling last week, but like it broke through this week. So it's like, I know I'm going through a dry spell this week, but next week could be better. Like, I just got to get to next week. We're going to do this. And just don't stress too much. Like, relax and breathe, and like, these opportunities are going to come to you because you're going to be open to them. And this program just helps you understand your value and understand how to market that value or show that value to everyone else. Like, you already know what you can do, you already know what you bring to the table. This just helps you show it to everyone else.
Yes, snap to that. That is so good. Like, honestly, I am just so extremely proud of just, like, the program is a 90-day program and, 12 weeks, but you got the job in 7. And that is just really incredible. And it speaks to, yeah, the system, but also putting in the work and following the steps and trusting yourself and trusting the formula enough to know that it's going to work for you. I can't even just, like, when I saw your email come in, I was just like, what? Like,
I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to email that. I was so excited. I was like, I have to email her.
And it was so funny because I remember literally the night before we had our weekly session, I was saying, you need to be sending me these emails and people reaching out to you and telling you they want to interview you, because you were just getting so many different emails for interviews. Yeah. And then the next day, it was like, I got the job off. I was like, whoa, oh my gosh. So I am just so proud. And again, like, that to me, the fact that you feel like your confidence has changed and really like increased, that's what it's about. Because not only are you getting the job that you want, but you're walking into that job knowing that you deserve to be there. And I think that is what's important, because a lot of times people just like, I want a job. And then you don't really know if you're going to like it when you get there because you didn't do the back work, or you don't know if you really deserve to be there because you didn't really know your value was. And you've done both of that, like, your value, that is where you want to be. And that means so much, because now you're walking into this career, into this opportunity, knowing that you are worth it and you deserve everything that's going to come for you. So I'm so proud. I'm so happy. And yeah, I just know that if it can work for you, someone who was feeling like they could never get to top of the role that they want because of everything else happening, and having that hope but not really knowing how to make it happen, to going to 7 weeks later, getting the job at a company that previously denied you, it can work for anyone. So I'm happy to have you as a success story.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be this success story too.